Hi, she's Trixie and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 113 today, yes. And we are happy to share what we were able to accomplish this week and some of just the really... It seems to be in the air that we're having like this much more creative intrigue or just concentration of people sitting down and actually wanting to create something.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, I am noticing this trend around people that are around me or just in general. I feel like I'm noticing just this sense of, and it doesn't just seem to be the season like fall, it just seems to be the season of life. Like everyone wants to try to sit down and create, and I don't know if it's just because of people finally seeing videos and crafting being much more prominent, and
I think so.
Just coming back into being much more of a, especially like yarn crafts is becoming much more like modern and
the vogue thing to do.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, if you think about it, it's something that has come into style again.
Yeah, everything has their their wave of kind of being what is popular, and then it kind of loses its momentum, and then it keeps going. And I feel like every single season has that, but like, I don't know. It just feels like it's on the rise.
And that's good for us.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. This last week, I had the privilege of being able to go on a writing retreat. And it was special because my cousin loaned me her trailer up in Upper Michigan. It was an hour and a half away from my house, and it was so quiet and it was so peaceful, and I got a lot done. I was able to, for those who don't know, my book on the thumb drive got corrupted. Therefore, I could not work with that version that I had. I had other versions that were in, like all the chapters were in their own separate files and all that stuff, but this was in manuscript style, and I had lost that. So what this writing retreat did for me was that I got everything back into manuscript style. I was able to find a chapter that I had not previously remembered. I was able to get the table of contents done, and now I'm able to just keep writing. And this story is pivotal because it's the precursor to the rest of the series. So I have 2 other books going or started that will follow this one, but I needed this one to get the rest of them to make sense. And so I because I had lost it, was able to gain it back with this writing retreat. But while I was there, I did bring my crochet, and I did work on it as a
downtime, right?
Or more of a, hey, if you get this much done, you get to work on your crochet tonight. It was kind of an incentive kind of deal. And
it was a reward.
Yeah, a reward system for myself. And so...
that's awesome.
Yeah. So this blanket that I'm working on, to update you, is a 2-stranded moss stitch, MOSS, worked with a 10 millimeter hook. And the 2 yarns, one is a 4-ply solid dark color. The other one is a Mandela, which is a 3-ply, and it ombres all the way through. So
you're using the solid to highlight and show off.
Yes, the Mandela.
So you're trying to keep the background as Dark as possible.
Yeah, to show off the light colors.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So we have all. I had a dark green as my top color.
First color.
Yeah, the first color that I used, and then I went into browns, and all the mandala is ombreing all the way through. And so this is where it's just so fun when you're changing colors and such, because look at that. That's just a pretty stitch that makes a great fabric. And it's so drapey and nice and great for blankets. And so I'm having a real lot of fun with this. And I've got this much left. And it's just a lap blanket. It's not supposed to be anything big or huge or anything like that. It's not very wide either. It's just enough to fit over your lap and to keep the chill off when you're doing other things. So I figure I can do that. Now my daughter-in-law called me while I was at my writing retreat on the last night, and she asked if I would participate in making Afghans for a benefit for a friend of theirs family that had lost their dad and their husband. And so that will be, the benefit is on December 9th. And I told her I had one blanket made, one that I'm working on, and I could have more done before then. And she said that homemade things like that are very, they fetch lots of money.
They're well received.
Yes, they fetch lots of money for the recipients. And I was willing to help. I've got lots of scrap yarn I can use. I can continue to make these blankets, and hopefully it will help the benefited family. So Sarah's interested maybe in doing something too, but she has not been approached yet. So but my daughter-in-law does know that Sarah also does yarn crafts, so she probably will be getting a phone call as well. But it's fun to have something to go, to use your talent for.
Yeah.
And to know where they're going. I often don't know where the blankets that I'm making are going to go until, it gets revealed to me. And now I know for the next couple of months where these blankets will be going, is to a good home. But it's also going for a good cause. So, what are you working on?
Well, before I fully get into my portion to share, if you have ever watched any of our prior videos where we've shared stuff about ourselves, then maybe my mom sharing her writing won't come as a surprise. But my mom is a written author and has been for a number of years. And she has been published in columns and has poems since she was a teenager. And she did have one published work in 2000.
Yeah.
And she was working on sequels for that book when those files on her computer completely crashed. Her whole entire computer crashed, and it created such a writing slump, just such a, it lost that momentum, and I never knew whether she was going to pick it up again. Not saying that she didn't still have a love for it, because if you know my mom, she always has a notepad and paper somewhere, always by the side of her bed, by her main chair, by her chair in the living room, in her office, even in the kitchen, on the refrigerator, in her car, in her purse. in the bathroom, somewhere. There's always somewhere to write something down. And I have never forgotten, even my mom telling me when she was learning to, when she was writing and collecting on, I think the book, she would mention she would always even have it when she was working at other places and her shops and everything. And every couple of minutes, if she had a break between machine operations or even just cleaning when we were in Custodio, she would just stop and take a minute to write it down. And it was just always there because she's always been really good with putting words together. And so, and that's always just been something that has been such a outlet.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so great because it lasts so long. Like, you know, blankets last a long time. These works do last for a while, but even if it's like, I don't know, moments where, you know, a dog could chew on it and then someone has to make that decision, can I repair it or do I have to throw it away?
Right.
And it's not that written work can't be just as fragile, because obviously, even from your end, this is the second time. So you even took the time to have it on the hard drive, and the hard drive failed you. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like even this isn't fragile, but there's something about even just writing that seems to last a very long time and impact differently.
Yes.
And the gift to be able to express a moment that the author can feel is happening and share it is just so, it's its own gift, and it's really cool. And I find it just interesting because she's always been really good at it, and I find myself in a situation where, you know, when people ask where I've learned how to crochet, I learned it from my grandma, and then me taking it on, I taught my mom.
Yeah.
But now my daughter has recently requested to learn, my 5-year-old, and I'm sitting there with her on my lap, and I'm teaching her how to hold the string and how to hold the hook and how to, and she was able to create a whole chain by herself.
That's great.
And make a little bracelet for herself.
Start them early.
And it was, but I wanted it to be her idea because I don't want her to do it just because mommy does it.
Right.
For me, that's not the point.
But the kids have always thought that was a magic wand.
Yeah, that's what they've always called it, or their association with it is that it's magic because it can make something into something really cool.
Right.
But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we get so caught up that we don't always share a lot, and so I want to make sure that there was that foundation somewhere in the video of, it's not random that my mom went on a writing retreat. Like this is something that is a part of her life.
Right.
This is relevant, but sometimes we don't share it a lot. We have moments in our channel where we do share those moments, you know, with my mom sharing more about herself and such, but I just figured I would share that.
And I'm going to look up.
Am I good to keep going, or
Yeah.
do I need to?
Yeah. I'm going to look up the story.
Got it. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
But to sorry, let me restart that. To get on with my segment, last week when I was actually filming, I actually started chaining this project. I literally started this project on camera when we were filming, and it was to start a poncho for my son. My son likes to go, obviously, normally it is just me, my son, and my daughter in the mornings having to get ready if the people that we've been helping aren't, our roommates aren't home or something, and my husband's already at work. To my daughter's bus stop, and the the mornings have recently been warm for it being fall, but for a little bit they were a bit chilly.
Yeah.
And I know that they will gradually get chilly again.
Yeah, we're getting back to there.
And he was just draping the little blanket that my mom had made him.
Out of scrap yarn.
Yeah, she had made it as a means to be able to offer each one of the kids a blanket for their toy, like their favorite stuffy or their doll. And Kenya loves his. And so he was wrapping it around his shoulders because I was just grabbing a blanket and wrapping it around mine and running out the door because the bus stop is about 3 houses down from us. So it's just a little short walk. But I decided maybe I'll make him a wearable blanket, a poncho. Is what I kind of think they kind of feel like is kind of like a wearable blanket. And I did finish it practically within a day. I started when I was filming and that was in the midday, and by the following evening, so it was a day and a half, I had this done. Now I did make it in a full blanket rectangle style, meaning that the design is that it was a long rectangle with a hole for the head in the center so that the long ends would fold over him and kind of make more like mini squares for the front so that the arms would have enough reaching onto his arm to be able to wrap around him. And I made him this. I just chose colors and kind of randomly chose the design. And, you know, he does like it, but my son is a bit of a 3-year-old critic and was like, where's the hoodie? And so even though it's a wearable blanket and he does enjoy it, he's requesting that I put a hood on it. So this isn't it in its full completion, despite the fact that it is fully done. It was not done to his specific qualifications, so I still have to finish it fully. And you know, after I forced myself to push on this and get it done within, you know, those
18 hours.
I wanted to break, so I have not fully finished it. I am already starting to work on the hood. I am replicating a hood on one of his actual hoodies that does fit him well, so I'm kind of just seeing where the pieces and the seams are on the hood and kind of trying to replicate those pieces by crocheting similar shapes and seeing if I can sew them together and create something in the same vein as that and then attach it.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. I will let my mom share this before I get back into mine. Yeah. Before we forget.
So, the book that I wrote
in 2000.
Well,
or published in 2000.
Published in 2000 is called Gemstones, and
with a J.
I wanted to show you a picture of the book and how to spell my name in case you wanted to find it. So, there it is. So, yep. Now, the books that I'm writing now do have some of the characters from this first book in it, but you might have to read that first book just to figure out who those characters might be. So, I'm not gonna reveal any more than that. You just have to read the book.
Just for a warning, content warning, it does have some mature real
Themes.
Yeah, themes. Some
Not language, themes.
yeah, it can get really heavy. This is definitely for a more young adult and older. I'm not saying that a teenager probably couldn't read it.
Suspense crime.
Yeah, so just to get, there's no real rating system on books, so just so that anyone who is wanting to pick it up, it does have some really heavy themes, and I don't really know if there's any good way of
Right.
saying that in any other way than just you've been warned. It does have some heaviness to it. It's not just a simple thriller.
Right.
But as I bring this next project on, I have not forgotten about my cardigan or my mother-in-law's works that I plan to get done for her birthday, which is in November. She has a blanket that she has been actively put into my hands to finish, a craft from start to finish. I had full reign on it, and for the last year or so, I have been working on it. I know that seems like a long time. There was a lot going on. I can't place necessarily the time scale, but for any of the followers that have been watching us for a while, there was a period where I was having a hard time getting projects done just because of how much life was changing so quickly.
Yeah.
We had so many different things that are happening behind the scenes on life's end for us that just weren't shared, and that's okay. That's something that I want to just keep private. But it was just a lot, and it was just in such concentration that it made it very hard to stay motivated and focused and organized to be able to keep up with my projects. And so I had to kind of prioritize what needed to be done at the time.
Right.
And so now that I'm kind of getting more relaxed, more settled, there's less chaos. I'm trying to be able to get things done and really getting things off of my to be done list. Like this year, I'd really like to get all these to be done items off and just be able to kind of have this clean slate where I can just make when I want to make without having to be like, oh my goodness, I haven't gotten all these things done.
Right.
Because there's so much that like illness or just life in general has really just stepped in and just kind of ruined the expectations that I had on what my schedule and my realistic timeline for my projects really looks like. Even for my daughter's projects for her birthday got completely sideswiped because of me getting sick.
Right.
And we weren't even filming for a month because of how sick we all got. So it's like every single time I feel like I'm going to get this done then. It's like that's funny. So I'm really just wanting to keep room for my imagination and for all the spontaneity and kind of the mood crafting I'm always in, while also realistically trying to still stay to a consistency of getting these projects done. I do plan on getting all the stuff done for my mother-in-law. My mom has already said that she'd help create some space because I'm still a bit cramped to be able to get those big blocks for the Afghan blocked fully so I can start bordering them and figuring out how I'm going to assemble them.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be getting that done soon while I'm finishing her Ruana.
Yeah.
And continue to work on my cardigan because my mom's idea last week was pretty cool and I still think I want to do that for the back. But
I can't wait till you guys see it.
Yeah, it just is going to take some thinking through. But to what I'm going to show you, this was kind of I'm testing out theories of projects that I can do and always have on the back burner as a go back to project, kind of like my mom with her blankets.
Right.
In that similar vein. I don't always have projects to go back to. It is just the craft itself. I like going back to crochet or I like to go back to knitting.
Right.
But I don't necessarily have a theme of what it is.
Right.
Like I might have a genre where it's like I want to make a pillow or I want to make an origami, but that's still broad.
Yeah.
I like to make them as crazy as possible sometimes.
And as unique as possible.
And so it's one of those things where it's like they may be themed, but or in a vein or a genre, but that doesn't mean that you're just knowing what you're getting. And my mom is like, at the end of the day, her comfort craft is still to make a blanket. Even before the blanket, she loved to make quilts. Yeah. Like, that's always been a thing. Yeah. Blankets are a comfort item. She likes to make them.
And I like the home theme. Mm-hmm. It's comfort, it's home.
I like pillows. I'd say pillows are my practical versions of origami. Yeah. Because I feel like I can still make them really personalized, fun, and unique and spunky with them still given a purpose. Mm-hmm. Like they still have a practicality. Right. Even if they're odd geometric shapes or whatever, I can still say they're a pillow. They are still able to be used as a cushion to make furniture more comfortable. Right. They still serve a purpose, a function. And so I I was thinking about trying to find a way of making something where I can always go back to it. Where if I have an abundance of them, I could sell them or whatever, because I'm thinking about going into craft fairs. But that being said, there's a type of pillow that I've been wanting to make. I feel like when we first started the channel, I might have been trying to make one of these.
Maybe.
Because I was trying to make it with velvet yarn.
Yeah.
But it ended up not getting done, which I don't remember why. But I'm very close to getting this one done. And I really enjoy making this. Like, to be fair, like, I really enjoy just sitting and doing this. The only tediousness about this one is because of how it is built. It requires a stop and go, stop and go, stop and go.
But that's the process of it.
Yes, it is. But it kind of, this is one that's good with audiobooks or something where it's like even talk radio or podcasts or something where you're not needing to look up at a screen.
Yeah.
Without having it be super detailed, because it's not.
Right.
I'm making this big tube, this just big thing right here. It's just the, would you call it a tube?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is where I started, and right now I have it cinched off with a simple bow. I just kind of very lightly cinched it so that as I stuffed it, the stuffing wouldn't be coming out of it. But I did not want it to fully close off this starting point, because when I am done, I need where I end to be sewed onto its beginning,
right,
so that it looks as if it was infinity.
Yeah.
It was
perpetual.
Yeah, continual.
Yeah.
And I've made this tube, and I've continuously stuffed it, which is the whole stop and go that I've been telling you about for a
Still going.
I feel like a magician pulling that thing out of my hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not even done with the white. Like, I need it to be the same length as what the blue and the orange's lengths were. And here's the reason. This is going to be formed into a knot. Listen.
A great big knot.
Listen. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you. I think it's cool.
It's called a knot pillow, and practically you have to create the strand, the thick enough strand to form into the knot that will be sewed onto itself so that it will look continual. But for the ability to make it a cushion, you have to obviously make the strand thick enough and pat it so that it will be cushioned.
Yeah.
You can do this with fabric. I've seen people take old leggings and recycle old leggings into these tubes where they would then they would place it over a tube, like a cardboard tube from, let's say, leftover from napkins or gift wrap, and that would be their means to stuff it so that they could get all the way to its end, because kind of when you're sewing it on a sewing machine, it's kind of hard to stuff as you go. In the same vein as you're crafting, you're only right here, so you can just stuff it and then keep going and keep going. In that vein, you do have methods of just putting it onto a pipe of some sort and kind of getting to that bottom and continuously getting it through that way with a long stick, kind of like a chopstick, or even a stick you can get out in your yard and snap so that you have some grip and push. Some polyfill bags do come with their own stuffing sticks too.
Nice.
So there is that. Or you could even take probably a knitting needle and get like one of those rubber, like even like a rubber end for the to kind of save your work and put it on there. Like do that, get the polyfill to grip onto that, and push it back into there. A pencil that's not been sharpened would probably work as a means to get it down there. just some ideas. But the reason why I'm saying that is because if you wanted to make this idea with that, you just need to know how long you want your knot to be. Now I know it's not completed yet, so it's going to be hard for me to explain it, but the knot will create a ball at the end. At the end, the knot that I'm creating will end up being a ball that will be very intricate and continual, and it will be very fun. And it's very simple to do, and I've seen tutorials. If you want to, there are many tutorials on this on YouTube already where it's called the knot pillow, knot ball pillow. And it's fun. So I'm doing the crocheted version, and I'm just using materials that I have, and I'm kind of making it in thirds where I'm kind of just as I'm going, because I know what the shape is, noticing when I feel like there's one full third section done. I did a color change so that the next section I could see it when it was done. Now I'm on to the final color change because it's in 3 parts. And by next week I should have the hoodie for the poncho done, this knot pillow done, and hopefully we'll be able to show you as far as where I'm at for the other wearables that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the only thing that I was a little irritated with is that not all 4-strand yards are the same. I feel like that is a rant on this channel all the time. But I did not have the same consistent weight of 4-ply yarn like I did for the blue and this burnt orange. When I switched over to what?
You could see the difference right there.
Right where the burnt orange turns into this more brighter orange. This brighter orange is not the same sort of thick weight of a 4-ply yarn, and you can kind of see the stuffing through it in real life, and it's kind of annoying. I'm thinking about when I'm shaping it to twist the work as I'm setting it in place so that maybe some of the holes will kind of close themselves up. I might see if I find any other means of trying to make this work, because they really just are kind of on display and they're driving me nuts. One thing I will say, when you're stuffing your work like this, if you've ever worked with polyfill the way that I have, you kind of get used to this aspect that when it was vacuum sealed shut into the bag, it can kind of clump up. Breaking the fibers apart before you stuff an item can sometimes save you a lot of heartache in the end, because some of the polyfill can clump up really tightly and create texture inside of your work that makes it hard to stuff properly, or some of it to be a little softer while other parts are a little bit more lumpy.
Right.
That can be completely avoidable by just breaking up the fibers before you put them into your work, so that they lay and stuff evenly.
That's a good
and
tip.
You're able to pack it in a little bit more successfully to your liking, instead of feeling all those lumps and bumps. And so
I wouldn't like that. That's a good tip.
So it takes a little bit extra time, but even that's a good way of doing it too. If you want to take your polyfill from its bag and put it maybe into a clean garbage bag, you could take an evening while you're watching a show and just fluff up your polyfill and stuff it into a garbage bag so that it's already pre-done, and it will kind of leave some kind of remnants of the smaller pieces of the plastic polyfill on your clothing or whatever, the floor. You can just vacuum it up or use like a hair catcher on it. But it can kind of save you some time. I've noticed that while I do this, doing this, I've had to constantly fluff up mine before stuffing it in.
Yeah, but that's all part of the process too.
It is, but it's one of those things. I've been enjoying getting through my Audible book reads. I'd stuffed through practically a long series, and I'm on my next one, but it's like, if I didn't have that, it would probably drive me nuts to have to sit there and do this, keep crocheting, stuffing it, and be disjointed. But I don't know. I just figured I'd share that. I'm hoping that this ends up turning into a craft that I might continuously, like when I'm bored, I know I can just whip these up real quick and make fun shapes.
Yeah, that'd be a nice thing for a teenage bed, or even preteen, in a craft show, they might be
Fun.
fun for them. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking if I get really good at it being three parts, I could do it where it's green, red, and white, so it's Christmas themed.
Yeah.
I could do it where it's different textures of yarn, so that it's kind of like the velvet or the really puffy yarn, or even the really lacy yarn or something, so that it kind of creates this different texture.
Variety.
It can be themed where it looks like, different types of, I don't know, it could just be one color, it could be whatever, but yeah, I just don't know. It's just, because I thought if I did that and then put a bow on it, it could look like a Christmas present.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, so.
So, our scripture today is kind of themed as well. So, it's, "Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book, that they were engraved on a rock with an iron pen and lead forever." And that's found in Job 19:23 and 24. Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book. That they were engraved on a rock with an iron pen and lead forever. That's kind of what I feel like when I'm writing my books, that I want them written. I want them out into the world so you guys can all read them. The stories are just as much a surprise to me as they are to you guys, because I'm the kind of writer who's a pantser, which means I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I do not have an outline. I don't know where the story's going. I let it be character driven, and so it's a surprise to me, and I know that if it's a surprise to me, it'll be a surprise to you, and so. Oh, that my words were written. I just think that is so fitting for this episode. And what do you think?
Well, when you think about Job, especially at this point in the book, he's obviously gone through so much of his turmoil, and there's so much that he probably is sitting there not knowing how much longer he has. His body is starting to get the effects of all the things that he's being kind of thrown at him. And there's an urgency to feel like I need to get something out, and I want it to not waver. I don't want it to be lost with my life.
Right.
I don't want to be stuck thinking that I had all this time and realize now that I don't, and realize that this might be much more successful and outliving me because of how quickly all of his issues were coming upon him, so concentrated. Everything was happening so quickly that life changed so quickly.
Right.
He just didn't have time to register what was going on.
Right.
And there's this sense of, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book, that they were engraved on a rock with an iron pen and lead forever. So that, for me, it feels like it's like so that I can have some level of peace. It feels like that's what it's requesting, is that by doing this, it would give me peace to know that someone is getting the message, someone is going to be able to know what's going on, or what happened, or what is important, what am I leaving behind, because with so much going on that was so just happening on the fly, this probably felt like if I just had the insurance that this was just done, then I wouldn't feel so scatterbrained, so crazy. And I feel like Job's situation is very unique in what it's describing, but you also have the nature of, even just with how my mom felt that it called to her through the idea of just the urgency of someone who feels the drive to tell a story.
Yeah.
There is an aspect of just wanting to see it done and seeing it done in completion releases almost like this burden of I have accomplished what I set out to do.
Right. Exactly.
And it gives me great joy and peace to feel like I have accomplished this work. Right. Now I realize that Job's situation, yours is different, but there is that drive of a writer, no matter whether they are trying to write down history or fact or urgent forebodings or whatever it was that Job was trying to say.
His autobiography.
Or whatever, or just his last statement so that no one said his words differently, so no one spoke ill for him or whatever it was, so that he could feel like he had said what he needed to get said done and no one could take over what his voice, his stance on the Lord.
Right.
There is something about feeling concrete about getting what you set out right and done, that it cannot be moved, and knowing that it will outlast you is something that I feel very urgent is about a lot of authors. Now there's a lot of books that are just out there and they really hold no other purpose than to just be there, but then there's other people that feel so driven by why they're writing something down, the purpose behind it. And no matter how you exercise writing things down, for some reason you felt the need to write them. And I hope that, it serves its own purpose. So no matter what it is, oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book, that they were engraved on a rock with an iron pen and lead forever.
Yes.
Job 19, verses 23 and 24.
And those will be in the description. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Tell your friends. And hopefully maybe share it with others who might be in the crafty mood too.
Yes, so wherever the season is, if they would ever like to have more people to just sit and craft with, we tend to make videos where we just sit and share with what we're doing, and what we've gotten done this week and what we hope to share with you next week. So comment what you're doing this week, what you might have gotten done, whether anywhere in where you're at is in a really hyper crafting mood, whether it's happening everywhere. It'd be awesome to hear from you.
Yes.
We always enjoy making these videos, but as always, until we see you next time, we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.